Work pressure, stress, these have become normal part of our work life. All the professionals today are facing these kind of problems. You will not find anybody who is not having enough pressure at work. There are always deadlines to meet. There are always instructions to follow which bosses are giving. There are things which are piling up that you need to do. Everybody is going through this pressure of work and which is creating stress in their work life. Now, how to handle this situation? Because there is absolutely no merit in living with a problem. So there must be some method through which you can handle this situation better. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about some of the strategies that you can use to improve your situation, to become more comfortable in handling this work pressure, in handling this stress. So do watch this video till the end because it's going to be extremely helpful for you in managing pressure at work. Hi, my name is Anjani Kuumar and welcome to my channel. So let's talk about how to handle pressure at work. Now, the first and foremost thing that you need to do is to change your perspective around work pressure, around stress. That's very important because normally the tendency that I find in people when I coach them is that they get very concerned when they go through these kind of situations, when they have things piling up, when they have deadlines to meet. It creates a lot of anxiety, a lot of pressure. Now, somewhere we all have to understand that if we have taken a decision to be a part of a corporate setup, to be a part of a professional setup which actually provides for our living, this is going to be a normal part of the system. You will never find a system, a company where these pressures are not there. So that's where it's very critical to change this perspective in our mind and not let it continuously negatively reinforce our thinking. Because what happens is when people face pressure, at the end of the day, they more come to a level where they are in a situation of giving up. I can't do it. This can't be managed. This is too difficult to handle. These are the kind of reactions that I see people coming out with. And what it actually does is it creates negative reinforcement in your mind. And then the situation becomes more and more difficult to handle because you start losing control. You start feeling that this is not something which you can manage, which is not really the case, because even in these kind of situations, there are a lot of things which are in your control and which you can manage and which I'm going to talk about later in the video. So that's why it's extremely critical. It's important for you to change your perspective. Look at this work pressure scenario with a different lens. Somewhere create this acceptance in your mind that this is going to be a part of your work life. It is up to you how you manage this work pressure and come out in an effective manner. So that's why this change of perspective is extremely important. It's very much required to manage the situation better. Then moving forward, we need to look at this problem in three parts. One, obviously, we have to understand all the sources of pressure, from where the pressure is getting built up. And then secondly, we have to understand about the people who are actually creating this pressure in your life. And thirdly, the environment because of which this pressure is getting created. So if you look at this whole analysis in three parts, then it becomes easier to manage the situation. So let's talk about the first point where, what are the sources of this pressure? Now, what typically happens is, and what we have seen in the corporate world is that you have so much to do in very little time because you only have those 24 hours and there is work and work and work which keeps coming and which you have to manage. And that is the primary source of pressure. Now, what you have to understand is what is in your control and what is not in your control. Now, things will keep coming at you. That is not in your control. But what is in your control is to effectively manage them, prioritize, focus. These are some of the things that are in your hand and which you can effectively use to manage the situation. Let me give you an example. Now, in a particular day, if there are 50 things thrown at you, and if you keep running after all 50, chances are that you will be able to complete very few. So that's why it's very important for you to prioritize them. understand which are those few which will create the maximum impact, apply the 80-20 rule, and then actually do only those 20% of the things which create 80% impact. This is in your hand. This is something which you can do, because if you keep running after everything, you will not be able to come out of this pressure, because the sheer volume, the sheer number of items that are there in your list, they can never get completed. And that's a very fact that all the professionals have to face. It's real. And you have to prioritize. You have to understand what is more important, what is more urgent. Do that analysis on daily basis, on an hourly basis sometimes. And that is the only way to really figure out a way to manage the sheer volume of work which comes your way. So that's the first thing that you need to start doing. And the very simple thing is, apply the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, and that will actually guide you in taking the right decisions, in doing the right things. Because as I said, don't go that if there are 20 items on your checklist, on your agenda, 1, 2, 3, 4, you have to keep running after all of them. No, never do that. You pick the right ones, do them as per the priority list, and then create the right impact. The second thing that you need to look at is people. Who are the people who are creating this pressure for you? And typically we always find that there are bosses who obviously are extremely demanding, and because they also have to deliver so much to their company, so that's why they would be demanding on their subordinates. And secondly, you have a lot of people in your peer group, in your subordinates also, they are also a source of pressure. They also create pressure, because sometimes with their negativity, with the kind of behavior they display, sometimes by not doing the right things. So if you do a little bit of analysis, you will start understanding people aspect also. And that's where you have to start using your emotional intelligence more effectively. You have to start aligning your interest rightly with the correct set of people. You have to start separating your interest from the people who are spreading negativity. You have to align, you have to network with the right set of people who bring in that positivity in your work life. That's very important. Obviously, one person you cannot avoid is your boss, but if you create the right alignment, if you start understanding your boss pretty well, and if he or she also starts understanding you, then I have seen that a lot of pressure gets reduced because of this good understanding that gets created over a period of time. And that's where this whole emotional intelligence part comes in, where you have to manage the situation in a much better way with respect to people, and not have a same strategy for everybody around you. There are some people with whom you would align, there are some people with whom you should remain neutral, and there are some people you should simply neglect. That's the right strategy to take. And thirdly, when I talk about the environment, because sometimes organizations have their own culture, their own environment, because of which also pressure gets created. The way they operate, the way they provide resources, the way their internal processes and systems work. So that also is a source of pressure in a lot of companies. So you have to start understanding that part as well. How you can bring in efficiency, how you can improve processes and systems, how you can eliminate things which are not adding value. This is something which is in your control, and that's where you should start focusing on. You should not blindly follow whatever is happening for so many years in a particular company. You will have to figure out that if those processes, those practices, those systems are source of pressure, source of stress, then it is your duty to at least improve few things which are in your control, to optimally use some of the resources in a manner where you get better output, to optimize process flows, to eliminate things which are non-value adding. This is one analysis which really helps in reducing pressure to a great extent, and you must focus on doing this as well. So as you realize that first you will have to recalibrate your mindset. You will have to start looking at pressure differently, because pressure is something which cannot be avoided in today's world. It is going to be there. So that is the first step that you need to take. And thereafter, you need to look at how you prioritize your work, how you manage people, and how you work with the environment, and how you can bring in improvements on these three perspectives so that your overall life becomes better. You can reduce your work pressure, you can reduce your stress. Remember, you will have to always figure out that it's not that there's nothing which is in your control. There's a lot which is in your control. You just have to figure out that these things are within my control, and I have the capability to influence them in a manner where they work towards reducing my work pressure. That's the only way out. That's the only thing that you should do. And that's how you should be able to achieve the ideal work environment, a work environment where you look forward to going to work every day and being a part of a corporate, and ultimately achieve the success that you want to achieve in your life. So I'm sure you would have found this video useful. If you have liked it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your family and friends so that they also get benefited by it. And if you have any comments, any questions, put them in the comment section. I'll answer them. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, do consider subscribing to get benefited by these kind of videos. Now I'll see you in the next video. Till then, thank you very much for watching.